YouTube, what's good, man? Welcome back to another erratic video, man. Welcome back to the channel, man. Listen, you already know we not on our P's and Q's, and we definitely not on our best behavior, man. She gets triggered when she hears men prefer younger women, man. We got my boy Andrew Wilson. Let's get into the video. Whatever podcast. Let's go.
Example of a woman that was willing to sleep with a man. All right, we have Lol Paladins here.
Did like how you softened the blow.
Logic, Andrew, you just heard a perfect example of a woman that was willing to sleep with a man. Within an hour, her body count was 0. This is why men prefer younger women, easier, less baggage.
Yeah,
Gross.
but I actually
Gross.
brought that point up.
Wait, why
would that be gross?
Yeah, why is that gross?
shit.
Resave the comment. That sounded really gross.
Okay, I'll pull it
You
back
said
up.
that men prefer younger women because they have less baggage.
That's a gross thing to say.
No,
How so?
gross.
Gross
Yeah, how
to
so? How
target
so?
younger women because they have it's predatory.
How's
It's
how?
extremely
It's
predatory.
predatory.
How?
Damn.
Predatory. And
To
how's it
target
gross?
Yeah,
younger
explain,
women because they have less experience.
So
That's something that like
target-
abusers and groomers
Wait,
purposely
hold on.
say they look
No,
for
no,
victims.
hold
They
on,
look for
hold
people
on, hold
that
on.
are less experienced.
So this is the feminist loaded language. So
You
said
earned that green in your
Hold
hair.
on.
Yeah.
So you use the term.
Hey, if you live in one of these cities,
Nobody
right here,
gives a fuck,
why don't
brother.
you own an apartment building?
Like,
Seriously,
literally.
let me show you a path.
Targeted, predatory, right?
Yes.
Loaded
So
terms.
couldn't I just say that women target wealthy and successful men and they're predatory for targeting wealthy and successful men?
Yeah.
Or is it just the reality, the sort of evolutionary biological reality that women tend to be attracted to men of status, men of means? There's a couple reasons there. One, a guy of high status could have certain benefits to her and her children, right? So why is that any different than men preferring a younger woman who would be a better partner because she has
She's not a
could
better
have
partner because she's younger. She's just
less
easier
baggage. You
to
didn't let me-
manipulate. That's genuinely
finish.
a thing that happens.
I could actually make this
like
other
very,
argument.
very often.
Actually, so I could make another argument. So a woman who's, say, 33 and still single, she is perhaps, because of, the time clock when it comes to pregnancy, look, you can get pregnant well into your late 30s, 40s. I can actually just make this argument about easier to manipulate. A woman who's a little more pressed to get into a relationship, she's easier to manipulate because she's like, time's ticking.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
I can
but her-
manipulate, hold on, let me make the argument.
Okay,
I
go
can
ahead.
manipulate her better because she has a greater
Desire.
desire. No, there's another word I'm thinking of. A greater urgency.
Yes.
Because of her greater urgency to enter into a relationship, she must be easier to manipulate.
That example also sounds like you're a gross person.
I
That example is
Damn.
not less gross.
does not make him sound like
But-
gross.
but
Like,
you're saying-
you're making him sound predatory.
But you're saying
Well,
by
he's saying
virtue
that
of
this
Damn,
somebody
they calling
person
you
is
a predator,
purposely
bruh.
manipulating a woman that
no,
is
he's not
close.
manipulating anything.
I'm saying
He used the word manipulation.
No. You made the claim that younger women are easy to manipulate, but I could say that
They are.
right. But hold on, I am making.
God damn it, Brian. Give the fucking mic over to Andrew. Shit. You're fumbling the bag right now.
Argument that you could manipulate somebody at an older age for other reasons.
Yes, that's also disgusting and predatory, but also
Right, so but
that's,
why do
but
you
that's
d-
also not an overwhelming problem in our
But
society.
why do you jump to the
Neither is
conclusion?
age gap relationships.
Why do you
Yeah,
why do you jump to the conclusion
Why it's
that
more-
that a man who
It
wants
is. I got hit on considerably more by older men when I was 16 than when I
okay,
was
not
18.
interested
Not
in
interested,
talking
yeah.
about.
We're not talking about that.
Yeah, I'm talking
it's the
about
fact of-
adult relationships. So we're talking about
Right,
18
okay,
and over.
so we'll talk fresh
So
18.
young woman means
What does
adult,
fresh
18 and
18
over.
mean?
They just turned 18.
So what? Can they vote?
Yes, but your brain is
Can
not
they
fully
vote?
developed
Why are
until
you voting?
25.
Why are you voting at 18?
Because it's different.
Why?
How's it different?
Because okay,
Because-
so first of all,
so
that
you
law
can- so you
is
can vote
that,
to affect your life.
Do you know why?
That nigga Andrew gave her the eyebrow. He said, why? Why?
set into place and why 18 is considered an adult, it's so that they can enlist young people into the military because
Wait, young
based
people?
on our physical
Young
Men.
people or young or men?
men,
Okay.
young
Just
men
wa- just
into the
wanted to
military
clarify that, not
because
people.
at 18
Men.
is when they are physically able to serve.
Nope.
That is based
Actually,
on
16-year-olds.
It is not. It is not based off of. Oh, 18 is fully formed. Your brain is not fully
Wait,
formed
so just
until
to be clear,
25.
you're fine.
Now, I'm not
Wait.
saying that any
Let her finish.
26-year-old going for an 18-year-old is predatory and problematic. However, that is a big issue that I do see often. I do see a lot of women, young women, 18 women, fresh into the dating scene, getting taken advantage of by 30-year-olds.
How do you know
Great.
they're
That is
getting?
so
What
common.
evidence? What evidence do you have that they're getting taken?
First of all, how the fuck is she getting taken advantage of just because she's 18? Please explain.
Advantage of? Is it simply by virtue of them dating?
Their experience.
How is that?
And they
How do you
speak
know
about
what their
it.
experience
How is
is?
that?
And they speak about it, and abusers and groomers specifically have been interviewed and have talked about the fact that they go for younger women because they are easier to mold.
You have to stop making every man as if they're like being predatory.
Actually, I'm willing
I
to
don't believe
totally.
every man is.
I'm totally
But-
willing to engage with this. I think
But
that.
it is
I
a
think
problem.
at this point, I think
Look,
this point is fine.
It's just a
Not all
stereotype
men,
being
not all,
put
not
out
all
there.
men are abusers. Not all men are rapists. But
Yeah, let's not
overwhelming
use that word.
majority of women have had a negative experience with a man.
Totally
and
agree.
That is
so,
fact.
so let's back up. I want to make sure I understand.
Mm-hmm.
When should women be considered adults?
I think women should be considered an adult and making adult decisions probably around 25.
Because of the.
I'm fucking done. No, she didn't just say 25. No, she didn't just say 25, bro. You gotta be shitting me, bro. You gotta be shitting me, bro. Ain't these the same women that'll say that women mature faster than men? And now you're talking about a fucking 25? Nigga? Huh? Did you really just fucking say that shit? Oh my God. Absurd.
Frontal lobe.
I would, because of the prefrontal lobe, yes.
The prefrontal lobe that begins degrading immediately after 25.
I believe that
Hang on.
a woman
The
who is
prefrontal
25
lobe-
is very different
Yeah,
than a
hang
girl
on,
who's
hang on.
18. That's
Hang on.
so
Why?
different. Wildly different. They
Why?
have wildly different viewpoints.
Why are they different at 25?
They're inexperienced.
Okay, but
They have
no,
not
that's not what you
experienced-
said.
lobe.
Wait.
And the prefrontal lobe is
You-
also a
okay,
factor.
so hang on. You, if you're gonna make this justification, I need you
Mm-hmm.
to actually make it.
Okay.
This is Bree. She went from
Yeah,
idea
Andrew,
to
straighten her out,
customer
man. Straighten her
in
out, man.
48 hours. No
What is she
coding,
talking about?
No teams, no.
Are you an adult at 25 because your prefrontal lobe is fully developed?
I would say that's a factor. It's also experience.
Okay, but experience is.
And I would say-
Hang on.
It's a
A
direct.
21-year-old
Experience
is like a young adult.
But experience is arbitrary. You can have 19, 18-year-olds
Yeah.
far more experience than 25-year-olds.
Yes,
Yeah,
that is
so,
a factor.
Big
for
fact.
because
sure.
that is so, there's no way that we could base adulthood on experience. There would be no test we could give for experience.
No.
So if you're looking for physicality, the prefrontal lobe is it?
For physicality, yes.
Well, then if that is the case, don't you think that women should not be able to vote until 25?
I wouldn't say women shouldn't be able to vote. I would say.
Well, we're talking about women being able to consent. So you don't think they should be able to consent until they're 25?
I think voting. I'm not saying that no one can consent. I'm not saying no one can
But I
vote.
thought they weren't
I'm not
adults.
saying that every single woman that is 30, she's 18, he's a 30-year-old. I'm not saying every single instance
I'm not saying
is
that
a
either.
woman getting taken advantage
I'm
of.
just following your logic. Are they adults at 25
You're
or
not, because
before?
I feel like you're making a very broad blanket statement,
Because
and I'm not making a broad blanket statement.
you
I'm
are.
saying this is a
You are.
problem that is happening. There are men that
Yeah.
are doing this. Not all men.
So when are women
Not all men.
adults? When?
At
When are they
25.
adults?
She said 25.
I would say I would consider an adult woman 25.
If
What
you
the
consider them to only be adults at 25, why the fuck would you ever advocate that men or women can ever make any decision which would impact their life in the long term before the age of 25,
'Cause that's just
including consenting to sex?
Because that's just the world we live in.
That's not an
That's
answer.
not-
And also, but the
Because
age,
it is-
the age of consent is also not 18. It's depends state to state. It's very, very different.
Yeah, but I would guess that you would want to eliminate that for non-adults, right?
Depends on the age range. I think an
You
18-year-old
don't want
having
a
sex with an 18-year-old is very different than a 30-year-old
Sure.
having
Yeah,
sex
we'll-
with an
we'll go-
18-year-old.
we'll go with
I
that.
think it's very, very
Yeah,
different
we'll go with
dynamic.
that. But if you're not smart enough or competent enough or experienced enough to make a decision about who you want to sleep with, regardless of their age, why the fuck would we give you consent to sleep with anyone? You're not experienced enough to make those decisions, right?
Because it doesn't apply to all, and I'm not saying it applies to all. Again, I never said every
You said
single.
it-
I've never
you
said.
did say all.
I've never said.
I asked you
every
when
single
all women
situation.
are adults. When are all of them adults?
I guess. Okay, then I'll.
Oh my
rechange my
gosh, nigga. Fuck. Stick to your answer, bro.
statement. It depends on the person. It depends
Would you ever
Depends
create a
on the
metric for
person.
it then?
Oh my
I
god,
think
she's
that
losing.
people who are 25
She's
should be
losing.
going for people who are around the same age range. I think it's a very huge red flag
Uh-huh.
when men who are 23 and older are going for 18-year-olds, especially 18-year-olds there's 18-year-olds that are still in high school.
So?
They're graduating high school. So you think
So?
someone in high school should date someone who's a grown adult who has a 9 to 5 job?
When are they
It's
adults?
weird. It's weird. That's
Why
all
is
I'm
it-
saying.
what makes it-
It's
okay,
weird.
let's get
it's
into this.
gross. It's weird.
Just saying,
And I
it
think
gives you
that
the
that's
ick.
valid.
It gives you the ick.
Yeah, it gives
Can
me
you give me an
the
actual
ick.
argument other than it gives me the ick? Like an actual argument for why this is wrong.
Yes, it puts a lot of women in having that blanket. It puts a lot of women in very, very uncomfortable situations.
What
when
about
they
all
get
the
taken
women that
advantage
it
Okay,
puts
but that's you
choosing
haven't.
to be
Hang
in
on.
that,
Every
why would
relationship
it
can
be
do
bad?
that.
They are choosing to make that decision.
Yeah,
that
all-
doesn't mean that it's not gross. That doesn't mean that men that are purposely 30 years old targeting 18-year-olds are not a problem. doesn't
Do you
mean they're
think?
not a gross
Do you
human
think that
being.
based on the fact
Just
that?
because they legally can.
Okay.
doesn't
Do you
mean-
think?
know they
Do you
gross
think that
it?
you should be able to outlaw it?
No.
Well, then how much of a problem could it be? Don't you
It's
usually
something-
outlaw behavior
all
that's
I said
problematic?
was gross. I said ew.
It's
I
just duck?
disagreed with it. I can disagree with an opinion. That doesn't mean we're going to base a law off of my opinion.
Okay, so you.
I don't speak for an entire country.
Okay, so you don't think.
I speak for me.
So you. So,
and I think that that's gross.
yeah, you just think it's icky.
I think that's extremely icky.
Yeah, sure, but you don't actually
And
have
I
an
think
argument.
any 18-year-old, 19-year-old women
Yeah.
that are watching this podcast,
I agree.
I would steer clear from. I would say most men who are like 23 trying to date 18-year-olds, it's because they're unable to get women their own age because they lack maturity.
So let's move it back, okay, before you go off on these other diatribes, and we'll just stick with the one.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. 30, dating an 18-year-old, I'm gonna look at you a little bit weird. Now, am I willing to throw you in jail? No.
Can you actually make a moral argument for why it would be wrong for a 30-year-old man to date an 18-year-old girl if they both consent to it?
No, it's like a red flag. So it's not like, it's kind of like you were saying with like a flight attendant. It's a red flag because there is flight attendants that maybe aren't sleeping with a bunch of guys, but there is a stereotype there that most of them are sleeping with a lot of guys. So no, not all 30-year-olds who are dating 18-year-olds have negative intentions. However, I would say a lot do. There is a stereotype
Yeah, but I would
about
make
it.
it.
There is a
I'm
lot
going to
of
give you the
conversation
caveat
with that.
distinction. I would say that a flight attendant who is sleeping with a lot of men is doing something immoral.
Right.
Would you,
don't
give
think
me?
a 30-year-old
Would you give
taking
me
advantage of an 18-year-old?
Yeah. So I'm
is
asking.
immoral?
So I'm asking you to make moral argument like I just did.
Right.
That thing immoral. What about 30-year-old with 18-year-olds actually immoral?
when they're both consenting.
Imagine bringing your side project to life.
He just cooked
just
her.
by thinking about it.
He just cooked her.
Meet Base 44.
There's no answers to that one.
Yeah.
He just cooked
It's
her.
just really the
Ick.
fact that you
Hang
don't
on,
see a
just
problem
say
with it
ick.
is insane. to me.
Just say it's
It's
icky.
insane to me.
It's icky.
It's
Why?
insane
Age
to
is
me.
nothing but
So
a
it's
number.
it's insane to
I'm
me that
a
it's insane to
23-year-old and I
you.
would never date an 18-year-old in high school. I think that that's
That's you.
crazy.
She's not an
That's
adult
you.
Well, first of all, they don't at 18. They don't have to be in
in
What
high
do they
school.
have? What does a 30-year-old have in common with an 18-year-old
Let's
girl?
say-
Why can't they date
Listen,
women
why
their
do
own
you
age?
think that men and women have all this shit in common? They don't.
They do?
No, yeah.
My
Oh.
partner have a lot in common.
What do you have in common?
Witchcraft, We're both hot. We both are artists.
Witchcraft.
There's a lot I have
You're
in
both
common with him.
artists.
I
Oh,
see
well, we
his-
both. Okay, so then by this
we have very
criteria.
similar
Nigga just
childhoods.
said
Hang on, you ready?
witchcraft.
By this criteria, we both have jobs. We both drive in cars. We both walk down streets.
both
I guess we have
we both have hair.
We have very similar passions. We have very similar desires. We both have the same viewpoints on marriage. We have the both have the same viewpoints on polyamory. We both
And
have
what
the
do you do
same
for fun?
viewpoints. With him?
No, what does
Or
he do
just in
for fun
general?
that you don't do for fun?
Video games.
Yeah, he plays video games.
I play video games too, but we play different.
Yeah, but
video
I mean,
games.
he plays.
Yeah.
He's a player.
He hangs out with
player
his
of the
friends.
video games, right?
Yeah, he plays video games, hangs out with his friends. So.
Do you have the same friends?
Not really like that. Like it's like I'm friends with his friends, but they're his friends.
What's
like
the
if we broke up, I would never talk.
What's
to
the
his friends.
girliest thing that you do that he doesn't do?
I don't know because he lets me paint his nails. He puts eyeliner on, and
My boy
honestly,
is
it's
sweet.
the most
Thing you do.
attractive
He's sweet.
thing I've ever encountered.
Yeah.
And he's not a female.
Oh, just
You sure?
If-
Put on eyeliner.
if all
and
it
that
is-
doesn't
Sure?
make him less of a man.
If all it
He's
is
very secure of his masculinity.
if all it is
that's
is
what
the
I love about
idea
him.
of a commonality of interest, then I would just give you the same argument back. We both drive cars.
That
we both
nigga
have
is
jobs. We
sweet.
both do this. We both do that. We both do all these things. So we must have all this stuff in common. Not really. A commonality is not necessary between two people that they're interested in the same external things. That's not what creates a deep connection between human beings. For instance, if my wife really hated the type of food that I really liked, what the fuck would that have to do with us having anything in common? Nothing. Nothing. It honestly, that would have no bearing on whether or not we deeply loved each other.
Yeah,
So the thing
and I'm
is,
not sitting here and saying that there isn't 30-year-olds that are dating 18-year-olds and they have a healthy dynamic. I'm not saying that that isn't
I'm not
a
saying you
factor.
are. I'm just
But-
looking for this idea. If you tell me a flight attendant's out there sleeping with many, many men, I'm going to say that's immoral. I'm just asking you to say it's immoral for a 30-year-old to sleep with an 18-year-old and give me the justification for it.
I wouldn't say it's immoral for them to sleep with an 18-year-old.
So it's
I would
just
say it's
icky.
immoral if they're purposely targeting 18-year-olds.
Okay, why would that be immoral?
It is icky.
Because they're purposely targeting women with lower experiences.
It is.
Oftentimes because they're easier to manipulate and control.
Let's just assume for a second that that's true, that these men like to have women around that they can manipulate and control. That's part of their dynamic. Do you agree with me that there's plenty of women who like to be manipulated and controlled?
or the younger women like
Some
older men 'cause they're
dynamics.
more
I think that that's a
established, they want
very,
these.
very. It's a rough topic because a lot of the women that put themselves in those situations come from very, very rough backgrounds.
Yeah, I mean,
and so I
maybe.
think there is
They
an
don't
argument
deserve
to
love.
be made that maybe
What if it's
they
their
had
kink?
more respect for themselves.
What if it's a
and
kink?
There's kinks that I disagree with. I'm not a kink shamer, but there's kinks that are.
Yeah, I get it. But if you can't
Morally
if you
wrong.
can't tell me why it's immoral, and you can just say in a circumstance where this 30-year-old is targeting an 18-year-old, right, for nefarious purposes, then I would make the counter argument that anybody targeting anybody for nefarious purposes, it's immoral, regardless of their age. So if an 18-year-old's targeting, or a 30-year-old's targeting an 18-year-old for a long-standing relationship, finds her to be beautiful,
Sure. I think it's just more.
What's the actual issue
It's
there?
more dangerous for an 18-year-old woman and a 30-year-old man than the other circumstances.
I mean-
would
Why is it
be.
dangerous?
Yeah, what's the danger?
but
Because these are.
while it
these-
would be more dangerous, there's also benefits, right?
I guess there's benefits to an 18-year-old dating a 30-year-old. I would say overall, for an overwhelming majority of people,
Their Almed Meatball donated $200.
Thank you, Mr. Meatball.
Him on team
Damn.
30 and 18.
Nigga, you just got $200 to spend like that fool. Goddamn.
All right, he's on team 30.
It's really amazing because there actually are really compelling arguments against the age gap argument. But the people who feel the most firmly against it never give any. They just say, ugh, it's gross. And I'm just like, that you can't base your life on
Yeah.
what's gross. If so, then we would have outlawed all sorts of things that you know, probably like LGBTQ. A lot of people find that gross. Do you think that that's acceptable?
I think that that's a very different topic.
Do you think it's acceptable that they do?
Because some people find it ick. So it's
They do.
But I never once said we're going to outlaw 30-year-olds from dating 18-year-olds.
I
never
agree.
once
You
said
didn't.
that.
But if you have the response of telling people you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't, and you say, well, why? Why should? Because I think it's gross.
Well, that's what I said. I said because a lot of oftentimes it sets women up for failure. It sets
a
women
lot of
up
time-
to be in very, very toxic dynamics.
Well, essentially,
this is just something that we have
essentially
seen.
every relationship now is set up in a toxic dynamic because most of these marriages are ending in divorce. So they seem like, regardless of the age group, they seem to be highly toxic because they're not lasting a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the UK, there's the Office of Statistics in the UK. That's literally what it's called. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They went through and they took all of the marriages that have ever happened ever in the UK, which included age gap
God
marriages,
damn.
to see
Ever.
if it was true that those types of relationships failed more than relationships within a similar age. They couldn't find any significant deviation whatsoever.
Yeah, I would assume they wouldn't,
Why?
because oftentimes the 18-year-old in question is getting groomed.
Oh, well, this is interesting.
They're getting groomed.
Wait a second.
And it's not
hang
always
on.
the case,
Then
but-
I would expect to see those relationships work out more.
Yeah, they would.
Why? They don't. They
Because-
work. There's no significant deviation between the people who are engaged in a similar age relationship and those who are in this age gap relationship of 20 years or more, by the way. No significant difference. If it was true that those younger women were being groomed or something like this and by some type of super predator who brainwashed them, I would expect that you would see those relationships have a much bigger longevity than similar age with the same experience, but you don't. That's really weird.
So my grandma actually left my grandpa for a man that was 30 years younger than her. They stayed married for 55 years, and he was right there at her deathbed.
How old was
nasty.
she and how old was he?
That's
He
disgusting.
was I think, 20, 21, and she was in her 40s, 50s, almost 50.
That's nasty as a
Predator.
bitch.
Fucking
Weird.
predator.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say
And
stalking through the jungle
never,
waiting for the chance
never
to
met
explode.
two people more in love. I mean,
I never said it was.
That's
every
nasty
single
as a bitch.
circumstance, But I'm saying it's something that.
But it gives you
it's-
the
It's something that we shouldn't put pressure on. It's something we shouldn't be putting out. It's something we shouldn't be normalizing, in my personal opinion.
we're not
You
normalizing
can
it. We're just saying
disagree
it's
it.
not.
Well, I have a
But that's why I
question.
disagreed
each their
with
own.
that opinion.
Just a clarification,
No, that's
because
nasty
I
as
like
shit.
when you guys talk and you want to define a word. So you keep saying the word grooming. So from what I know, what the word grooming is, it's taking someone and slowly acclimating them to get used to something that is immoral, gross, disgusting.
Right.
So where in it does an adult and an adult groom an adult into
Because
a
this is what I'm talking about
into a
with the
consensual adult
this is what I'm
relationship?
talking about with the
Unless they're
prefrontal.
grooming them into now you're going to be a murderer, now you're going to be a
That's right.
thief.
That was my
There's no
point.
grooming happening because I am an adult. Both people are adults.
Which is
Grooming
why
only
this is-
happens
An
from-
18-year-old adult is
an
different than
adult.
a 30-year-old.
It's still an
adult in a lot of
adult.
circumstances
Adult.
because your prefrontal cortex has not developed.
Okay,
Sorry, I
but
choked
here-
up.
here's-
I have a
Still an
stutter.
So let's get into
You're
the
still an
prefrontal
adult.
cortex because this is often used by leftists.
You're still
Would
an
you agree
adult.
with me
No,
that
for
your
real though.
brain development is highly dependent upon body nourishment?
Yes.
And do you agree that poor people have worse nourishment than rich people?
Yes.
So then I have to ask you, would you ever recommend that a rich person gets together with a poor person because their prefrontal cortex is not going to develop correctly?
Depends on the people and depends on the circumstance.
But wait, it's all about the prefrontal cortex. So I got to ask you,
they
if
still
this is
develop a prefrontal cortex.
yes, but not correctly, right? Not correctly. So just based on nourishment alone, by your argument, okay, there could be women who are 25, as long as they're just in a lower socioeconomic, position, they should not be dating, or rich people should not be dating them, even if they're in the same age group, because
You don't know that rich person's background. You have no idea what their
we're just
going
going
to
to say
IQ
on
is.
average.
There's rich people.
Why would that not be
were
icky?
not born rich.
Wait, why would that not be icky though? If this person had all the right nourishment so that their prefrontal cortex developed correctly, and then the person who was poorer probably didn't have as good a nourishment, so it didn't. They could never be at the same level, even if they were 25, right? Mm-hmm. So they shouldn't date,
I mean,
right?
there is a lot of circumstances where that does happen, and that is a big thing where women do get set up with financial abuse. They do get stuck in relationships where they are financially dependent.
So
on
who
a
the
rich
fuck
man.
is allowed to date who in your world?
Yeah.
Anyone can date anyone, but I can say that there's red flags and there's warnings, and women should protect themselves.
They should protect themselves from a rich
Yes,
man
Every man.
who's taking care of them. That's,
I think women
Damn,
should have
they
their own
jumping her.
financial security
They
set
jumping
up
her.
when they're dating a man, because you never know. You could be with a man for 20 years and then he divorces you, and if you don't have say you don't have a prenup, you don't have anything set up, you haven't worked
the
for
red
20
flag.
years.
No.
Fucked.
The red flag would be to the rich man, right? To say don't date poor women because their brain isn't developed correctly because their prefrontal cortex was stunted because they didn't get the correct nourishment.
Well, most rich men don't want to date poor women.
No, actually, au contraire, they don't care because they're looking not at the prefrontal cortex that they don't give a
I
fuck
would
about.
disagree.
They're looking at how hot they are.
I would disagree.
And they don't care about
I would
money. They already
disagree
have it.
because the
Wait.
social circles that rich people are in are very different
Hold
than
on.
the social circles
So,
poor people are
I-
in.
do need
Okay,
to
now
do-
she's talking about shit. She has nothing. She has no idea what
Because we
she's
have a
talking
backlog
about.
of chats.
All right, man. Final thoughts, man. 30-year-old dating an 18-year-old is definitely crazy. That type of guy will definitely not be in my inner circle. But as far as arresting him and beating him up every day, I don't think we can take it there. But it definitely gives me the ick. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. Help me get to 30 subscribers, man. We on our way to success. I don't want to work a job no more, man. I'm tired, bro. I just want to make reaction videos, get paid off this shit, and live the life I want to live. Y'all can help me do that. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. See y'all in the next one.